This right here is what keeps me coming back.
All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Serious Angler podcast, episode number 160. Andy, what is going on, my man?
Not a whole lot. Just hanging out. Got to take a warehouse shipment in today, so ready for spring, even though we got like 3 months to go.
We got some cold temps coming in, but I think it's about 18, 20 degrees here, and we're going to be hit with a big cold front this week, and it's looking like this weekend might be the beginning of ice season. Unfortunately, might have one trip out to the lake left, but went out for some walleye this past weekend. You went out from steelhead. We switched it up a little bit. It was a lot of fun though.
It's always fun getting back to like my roots with steelhead fishing. It's not something I do very much anymore, but there's something about going up to a salmon river and just laying into some big chrome nuggets. It's fun.
I'm sure. I've never actually gone after walleye, so that was an interesting switch for me. Backwaters, kind of just getting, brought two rods. I haven't brought only two rods, and I couldn't tell you how long, so that was a fun little switch up on the kayak to backwaters, kind of trekking like half a mile away in to get after some fish. So it was pretty cool.
How were the tacos?
Amazing. New York surf and turf, some venison and walleye on the same week, so I can't beat that.
Yeah, there's nothing better than like a little pico, some sour cream, a little lettuce on top of a tortilla shell with some like beer battered, deep fried walleye. Oh man,
Oh yeah,
I could talk about that all day.
We got Rich Lindgren in the chat here. What's going on, Rich? Rich has he's Hellabass. He's got a good channel over there. But guys, if you could share the feed, like and comment, get your questions in, because tonight we have on Mr. Justin Lucas. So not to take up any more time, let's bring him on here. Mr. Justin Lucas, what's going on, man?
What's happening, guys?
How are you?
Not a whole lot.
Well, I'm doing good. I got the beanie hair from fishing all day, and almost called it quits, dude. I was pretty cold about 1 o'clock, and I switched up, started throwing a little wacky rig around, and started catching some big spots. So it made it worth it.
Heck yeah!
Awesome.
Not to rub it in on your guys', downer winter, cold weather up there. And Andy already talking about 3 months from now.
I'm going to try to get out at least one more time. So we usually get like a warm front right after Christmas where the harbor will like thaw a little bit so we can get out on Erie one more time. Last year, 3 days after Christmas, we put 60 fish in the boat in like 4 hours and had like 27 pounds in 35-degree water. So,
and those are all smallmouth or largemouth?
All big smallies.
Smallies, okay. Awesome.
So, I live in Buffalo, so
okay.
I got dubious amounts of big smallies around. It's way better than Sandusky area. Way better.
Yeah, that area, I mean, dude, it was really hard to get bites over there this summer. I mean, compared to everywhere else I've smallmouth fished, that was definitely very tough.
You made kind of like a cool little like I don't even know a good word for it besides like a rave about what the heck you were even on, like, because you couldn't even describe what it was that you found.
Yeah.
Like,
I still don't know what it is. I still don't know what it is. My buddy Gray Buck, he went out there. He was fishing it with me actually in the tournament, and he went out there after the tournament was over, dropped a camera down on that spot, and he was like, "I don't know what it is. It's definitely metal, but I don't know what it is either." So I'm still sticking with UFO. that or a space missile. One of the
I heard that when you went on Bass Talk Live and listened to you and Pangrak talk about that. That definitely cracks me up. You definitely have guys going out there this spring when it warms up to scuba dive and go look and see what the heck that thing was. But
yeah, I'm sure there's some guys that know where it's at, but it's kind of like off the beaten path a little bit. So if guys can find it, they got to spend some time out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you want a tournament off of it, so it's definitely something worth going.
Other spots too, but that was that spot definitely it really did save me there. Like the third day at the end of the day, and then that whole last day, that spot was just it was money, man. You know, it was a east facing spot, so the wind the whole tournament was blowing from the west and I think even northwest. And when it finally switched to the east on the third day, those lakes, and Andrew, you fish up there, the current changes all the time with the wind. And you really got to be on those front facing current stuff, And so I knew that was a really good spot, man. When I found it in practice, it was unbelievable, but it was an east wind. And then that wind direction changed and the fish just vanished from it. Mm-hmm. And so I kept checking it, but they weren't there. Finally, on the third day when we got a good east wind again, and it really started to shift that current, that's when those fish showed back up there. So
yeah,
pretty cool spot.
Yeah, that's a really cool point too, because that's something I actually learned this year as well. My buddy Destin Marion, who was a rookie last year on the Elite Series, he taught me. I live probably 30 minutes from Cayuga, heart of the Finger Lakes. Mm-hmm. And on his way home from Champlain, we stopped and fished. And we had like a 30-mile-an-hour south wind the day prior. And usually, obviously, with the Finger Lakes, you don't get a current, but after a hard wind like that, especially in north or south, you're going to get all that water pushed up to one side of the lake, and that pushing back the current. And we were flipping grass, so that was something completely new to me to put in perspective, and how to position yourself when flipping grass. How you can kind of position yourself the wrong way, where the facing obviously with the current. So that was something cool to adjust to, which I think you brought up a good point. But
current's a good thing. You just got to know how to use it to your advantage.
Exactly. Yeah. But dude, before we get too deep into the podcast here, tell us a little bit, of the first time you went bass fishing and who kind of got you, who drove that passion in you to be where you are now.
Oh gosh, man. Long story short, let's see. My mom forced me when I was 12 years old to go to a friend's catfishing birthday party because she had already bought him a $20 birthday present. I was trying to get out of it. I wanted nothing to do with fishing. And anyway, she forces me to go. We go and we catch these catfish, like literally this big. And I remember catching them, watching the rod tips bounce, watching them bite, thinking that's pretty cool. Reeling them in, seeing them, and then we filled up these Dorito bags with water, these big giant Dorito bags, and we were putting these catfish in the Dorito. Those were our live wells, I guess you could say. And just watching them swim around, I was just like totally, like, this is so cool. Why am I playing baseball and basketball? This is way cooler than that. So anyway, my parents had a marine construction business. So every day after school, we were going back to work with my parents before we'd go home. We lived pretty far out in the country in California, believe it or not. And there is country out there. And anyway, so we'd go back to work with them. And I started fishing off my dad, off his tugboats and barges and stuff like that. My uncle and grandpa my grandpa got me out there a lot. My uncle taught me the basics. And after that, I started fishing tournaments with my grandpa and just tried to work any job I could to make enough money to buy fishing tackle in between. I totally quit baseball and basketball. And then when I was 19, I got out of high school, and a friend and I, we won a boat. We were actually 19 and 16. Pretty crazy to win a boat that young with a guy that was only 16. And anyway, and then a few months later, I won another boat. So I was living at home, going to community college, working jobs, and won these two boats. And that is kind of what started to, really like get it going, where I was like, hey, I can do this, and I always wanted to do it. But I knew, like, you couldn't go in debt big time if you wanted to do it. You had to be really smart with your money, and just make the right decisions early on, because, and I try and tell young guys that even today, you can get discouraged, seeing guys with same age as you with all this brand new equipment and stuff. But if your passion's stronger than theirs, you can have cheaper equipment, a cheaper boat, whatever, not all the best stuff. If your passion's stronger, you're going to go out there and beat those guys. And that's just really what I focused on, was keeping that strong passion, buying what I could afford at the time, and focusing on trying to win tournaments, at team level and then co-angler level. And when I started doing that, that's when I was like, all right, man, this is gonna work, and there's different paths now. We didn't have college fishing back then. So I was just before college fishing. So I would suggest, college fishing now is a great way, but even if you don't do college fishing, there's still avenues to make it, as a professional fisherman. And one day, I just packed up my stuff from California. I was 23. I'm like, I'm moving to Alabama. And I met Clint Davis, who he's still a good friend of mine. He fishes on the Elite Series. I met him at a college fishing tournament that I was the MC for. And anyway, he was like, "Hey, you can move out here, move to Alabama if you want." I'm like, "I'll see you in a couple months. I'm going to pack my stuff up, I'll move out." And that was that, man. So I really didn't leave myself any other options. When you move 2,500 miles across the country and you're that dedicated to it, you kind of got to make it work at that point.
Yeah.
So I guess you're saying there's no regrets in moving to the southeast of the United States from Cali.
I love it here. Yeah, I absolutely love it here. The first time I came to Guntersville, I fell in love with this place, and the fishing was amazing back then. It's not as good now, but it's it's still Guntersville, still a legendary lake. But yeah, it's everybody's like, "Oh man, I bet you had total culture shock," and that was just a eye-opening experience for you. I'm like, nah, I actually grew up in the country in California, and I grew up in the more country than what I live here in Alabama. So California's a big state. A lot of people don't realize that, but it's a really big state, a lot of diversity there. And anyway, yeah, the other thing too is I needed to be here for, traveling purposes. I knew if I was going to have a family living across the country, it would be really tough. So I wanted to be able to get home quickly from tournaments. Once I got married and had a kid, I was thinking about these things when I was 19, 20 years old, because I'm like, if it's really going to work, I need all this stuff to be in place. So that was definitely a thought of mine. And then just being around the fishing here, the one thing we didn't have out west really was swamp fishing, like Louisiana style, shallow, dirty water. And then also Tennessee River or river impoundment lakes, where they draw electricity from running the current in these lakes and all of that. We didn't have that out there. So that was something I needed to get better at. And of course, the Great Lakes too. But growing up on some of those spotted bass fisheries, drop shot, and doing all the things we did out there, fishing real deep, that made me comfortable on the Great Lakes once I got past the intimidation factor of them, because they are very, very intimidating. And when you first go out there the first few times, you're like, man, where do I even begin? But so that took a while. It all took a while. The Tennessee River, the swamps, the Great Lakes. This is like my 11th year now fishing as a pro. A lot of people don't know that. So they see me catching them on the Great Lakes. I'm like, yeah, I've been doing this. I've been coming up here since 2013, so 7-8 years up there. And finally, this year I was able to finally win up there. So it's just it's a lot of time on the water, man. I would say that's the ending to all of that. Is you can do all the right things, but you got to have that passion, and you got to have the will, hunger, desire, whatever you want to call it, to get out there even on crappy days and learn as much as you can about bass.
Yeah, I think the one thing when someone thinks about Justin Luke's career, right? They're gonna think versatility, being able to be competitive in any part of the country. And I think coming from Cali to Bama, and obviously spending a lot of time in the north end of these Great Lakes, you smallmouth, because you're known as, there's guys who brought you on their platforms as one of the best, talking about how you're one of the best smallmouth fishermen in the world right now.
Yeah.
I think it goes to show, dude, how versatile you are. So I think that being on that country.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's you had to be where I grew up. You had to be versatile, because I've literally gone like 2 weekends in a row where you win one weekend flipping at the Delta. You're flipping toolies or reeds, whatever you want to call them, in 3 feet of water on a tidal river body of water. And the next weekend you win in 65 feet of water drop shotting for spotted bass. So you literally, if you couldn't do both, you were just going to stick to your one place where you were good. And I'm like, I always got too bored fishing the same place. Like I wanted to travel around. And still, you know, like I love Guntersville, but I just get bored fishing out there because I like new bodies of water. I like breaking down new lakes, and I still think one of the coolest places we've ever been was what is it, Lake Oahe in South Dakota. I just thought that was an amazing place. You know, it's like whoever knew South Dakota even had bass. Like I barely even knew that. And then go out there, you know, and they had good smallmouth fishing, this giant body of water, just little known by anybody. You know, like our guys had no knowledge of the place, and that's what I really love about going up there. And you know, even Sandusky, heck, we haven't had very many professional tournaments out of Sandusky. I'd love to go to Buffalo. You know, it's still, I've been to Saginaw Bay, I've been to St. Clair, you name it. Like I've been all over, right? Bay de Noc, Sturgeon Bay, everywhere. But Buffalo is like the one place in that Erie and Dunkirk area. I just haven't been there, and I really want to spend some time there.
It's actually funny how many people will say like, "Oh, I've never been to Buffalo." I'm like, "Oh, you have no idea what you're missing, because as soon as you come here and you figure them out, you're not going to want to fish anywhere else."
Yeah, I believe
it's just it's insane. And like a 25 like circular mile area of Buffalo, you can just whomp on them at any given time.
That's awesome.
I think you said like Guntersville, there's like you want to go explore new places. I think what's kind of cool, and as a testament to that, is your YouTube channel. I'm still stuck at a kayak. I shouldn't say stuck because I do enjoy it, but your videos taking the Jackson down those little rivers and creeks, and catch them on a plopper and rattlesnakes right next to you. That was I really enjoyed those. But
yeah, that's like 15 minutes away from my house where we did that. So that's you know, northeast Alabama specifically. We have so much water around this area, the Coosa River, you know, and the Tennessee River, and then everything that feeds those two rivers. So there's a lot of opportunities around here. And honestly, one of my favorite things, like even today, I went to Wheeler Lake, and Wheeler Lake's like not a place where really anybody wants to go, but I wanted to go catch some spotted bass today, and I was able to go down there, you know, 20 minutes, 25 minutes from home, and catch some nice spotted bass. And then you have Smith Lake, you know, 45 minutes, an hour away. So a lot of variations in body of water. I honestly, I compare North Alabama to like Northern California, where I grew up. They're like the two places in the country where you have so much diversity of, you know, whatever you want to do, you can kind of do in those areas. It's pretty cool.
So cool. Yeah. I want to backtrack for a second just because I'm curious. So I had Travis Moran on this show a while back, and that's how I learned that you were doing some, as you mentioned, you were an MC for college FLW. I'm curious, dude, what sparked that? Did you want to get on the business side of it? Is that something you thought you were going to do, or is it an opportunity that just kind of came out of nowhere?
No, it was like really just to make money. And also, I knew it when it hurt, just being, you know, more involved in the industry. But I needed money, man. Like it was a job, you know. But I also enjoyed. I ended up meeting tons of people, tons of the college guys: Jordan, Matt, Shea Baker, Clint Davis. You know, all kinds of college guys. A couple of them are my bosses now. Brad Rutherford over at Pure Fishing, he's my boss now. And I was weighing them in just a few years ago. So, but it was good exposure for me too. You know, I got to meet a lot of these guys, and you know, become friends with them, and you know that helps when they speak. You know, they speak highly of me. You know, moving on down the road, hey, all of a sudden one of these guys is, you know, my boss or going to get that position, and he goes, I remember that guy. You know, and all that stuff pays off down the road, but. It was a good gig, and you know, I got to travel around and fish and do that, and I got to get good at. I got better at public speaking. You know, it was something that I don't know if I was bad at it, but certainly you got to be comfortable with it if you're going to do it on the stage and weigh some guys in. So those weigh-ins would last forever, dude. It would be like Man, like I remember, sometimes we had like 100-something boats. Now they have 300 boats in these high school tournaments. So,
good grief.
God bless those guys, man. The way them, man. But
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that many.
that'd be pretty sweet networking opportunity itself. I mean, you just listed out a whole bunch of massive names in the industry now, so that'd be pretty sweet. But dude, we got 2 more questions for you here because you've been on the water all day. We don't want to exhaust you anymore. You got to get back to the family.
I gotta cuddle my 3-year-old boy on the couch. He's watching. There's some guy. It's called Raw Fishing or something on YouTube. He's all into that and Monster Mike right now. There's like these 2 guys down in South Florida. They do they're not bad fishermen. What's that?
Is that peacock fisherman, Monster Mike?
Peacock. They do anything. They just do some crazy stuff.
Right.
But I'm gonna go down there and catch one of those clown knife fish.
Yeah.
What now?
The big old knife fish they catch with the peacocks and those canals in South Florida.
Yeah. I want to go in there and catch those peacocks bad. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing when I get out of here.
Cool. We won't keep you for too much longer, but our first question for you, we have 2 more that we're going to wrap up with. But first one is, if you could sit down, have let's. I usually ask people if they want to have a steak and a beer with somebody, but a beer and a Justin Lucas Traeger session. If you could invite 3 people to come join you, have a beer, put some steaks in the grill. What 3 people are you going to invite to pick their brain? They don't have to be fishing industry. Don't have to be alive currently. They could be alive 400 years ago. Who would you invite?
Gosh, man, that is.
So all the way back to Julius Caesar and Roman times. It doesn't matter.
Man, I don't even know where to begin with that.
I love this loaded question. It stumps everyone right off the bat.
All right, I would say my dad's dad, my grandpa. He's all my family is still alive except him. He died when I was 2 years old, so I don't have any memories. Don't have any memories of him. So he would be one. It would be really cool to cook a steak for. Gosh, man, that is a really good question.
Any childhood heroes or athletes or anything like that?
Not really. I mean, I grew up just the guys that I really looked up to were the guys I'm still fishing against. Aaron and Skeet and Brent Ayler, all these guys that could, that made it from California, made it big fishing. I was just looking up to any of those guys.
Well, how about this? How about people?
Probably, I'd say Nick Saban. Just to I'm not even an Alabama fan, but I just want to hang out with him in Alabama and cook him a steak. That'd be pretty cool. Rub it into a bunch of people, and I don't know.
What about the last one? Is first person you're going to call to have a good time?
First person I'm going to call to have a good time. Just to shoot the crap with. If I'm going to hang out, it's got to be with my buddy Devin. He lives close by. I've done some of those videos with him. We have a good time anytime we're on water together. He's a good dude.
That's awesome. That's cool. Yeah. Sweet. Well, dude, our last question
down here in Alabama, man.
Dig it. But so our last question for you is a question that is not a question from Andy or myself. We actually have to. He's queued up here. We have to bring him in to ask him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's gonna ask himself.
Wow, dude, it's the. He's just texted me. I was just said that's funny.
You had no idea, huh?
I had no idea you were gonna pop on here. Here, I texted him a few minutes ago. He sent me a video. I said, "You need to post that video," but we won't talk about it. He'll post it.
Talk about
He
it.
said, at some point. What's your question, dude?
My question is, dude, why are you so scared to play fantasy football, man? Are you scared to lose? Are you scared? What's the real reason?
To save my marriage, because last year I'd be waking up at 12:30 at night, looking at my phone, trying to figure out who I was going to drop off waivers and pick up and all this crap, dude. I got way too involved with that. Wasn't worth it. And then to lose in the second round of playoffs to the worst team that made it into the playoffs was I'm out.
That sounds like me. I'll tell you what happened before you go, dude. So Cliff Crochet drafts all Saints players. Like
That's what he did last year. Yeah.
the first thing that you're not supposed to do in fantasy football is like draft as a fan. You don't want to draft players just because you like them, because they may not be good for fantasy. So he breaks that rule by choosing Saints players, and then chooses all dudes from the same team. So we all laugh at him at the beginning of the year because he has the worst team. He has like, and if he couldn't get a Saints player, they had to go to LSU. So he drafted like Joe Burrow in like the 3rd round. Anyways, we're all laughing at him, and he's about to beat me in the 2nd round of the playoffs, just like you, Justin.
Maybe there's a strategy there.
When it gets to the playoffs, it's just luck. So I'm out on things that involve luck because, like, literally, I think it was Lintner that beat me last year, Jared Lintner. And I'm like, dude, you barely made it in these things. You were like 5-7. And now you come in here and beat me in the playoffs. Lame. I have other choice words I want to use, but just
it's like the fantasy football roulette. It's always going to stub you in the playoffs. Always.
But so why? Like, I'd rather go practice. You know, I don't know.
Thank God there's
I'd rather practice throwing a float and fly than worry about fantasy football ever again, dude.
Fair enough. We did miss you this year.
I bet you did. You missed the crap talking. That's all you missed.
Yeah, there's no other dudes that would really get the crap like you did. Unfortunately,
I know.
It feels like it was a good year for Justin to back out of fantasy football, like COVID dilemma, and oh gosh, he would have been up till like 2 a.m. checking his phone and dropping people.
True.
All the hamstring injuries and COVID crap. I would have got no sleep.
Unraveled.
I'm glad I failed. Yeah.
That's funny.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. Well, dude, we want to say thank you, and we appreciate you taking time out of your night to join us. We hope you liked your surprise, and
yeah, it was nice. You have some questions for him now?
Yeah, we're gonna have Josh on for a little while.
Okay, cool.
We had this planned like 50 episodes ago, I think now.
Last time we had Josh on was probably 20 or 30 episodes ago, and we were like, we should totally have Justin on at some point, and you can come talk smack to him, and now we made it happen.
There's the real best smallmouth fisherman right there. So.
Far from that, dude.
I'll leave it at that, but he's the one that I'm facing down all the time. So
you're the one that I've donated all my money to this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a good night, dude. Go count your money.
We'll see you guys later.
Yeah. See you.
Have a good one. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That was
What's
fun.
up, Josh?
What's going on, dude?
How are you guys?
Yeah, we're hanging in there. Almost frozen now, so
can't even imagine.
Getting envious every time I look at Instagram. I'm like, oh, he's out again.
Dude, I'll tell you, it was cold the other day, bro. It was in the 30s. I almost froze.
In Arizona?
In the morning, yeah.
Oh, man. And what was it, like 80 degrees in the middle of the day?
It got up to like 60. Like this week, the highs are about 60 to 65 every day, which is perfect. I mean, that's pretty nice. You know, any warmer than that, you're like, it doesn't feel like winter. So I like it to at least, be in the 60s. That feels like at least it's not hot.
Yeah, dude, I was listening to so for anyone who doesn't know, Josh has a podcast as well with his friends Rob and Nick. And dude, when I was listening in the summer, coming home from the lake, and I'm like exhausted, and I'm like, it's so hot, and I'm looking at the thing, it's like 82, and then I listen to your podcast, and you guys are talking about fishing in 110 degrees, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, I need to stop feeling bad for myself because this is nothing compared to that.
Let me have some input here. I've been to Arizona in the middle of like late July, early August, right when monsoon season's starting. Their 109 is, I think, cooler than our 85 because we're 100% humidity. And you guys are dry.
I don't know,
Until about 5 o'clock at night when the storms start flaring up. Then it gets miserable. But it was nice all day. But then once those storms started popping up, it got bad. But I'd almost take Arizona heat over Buffalo heat, honestly.
I get that. I mean, when it's like
you can breathe.
You can breathe. That's for sure. That's true. You just can't stay out all day. You just can't. You know what I mean? It's just you'll literally be fried by the end of the day. But It does. I mean, do you guys have central AC in your houses? I know a lot of folks. Up
Absolutely.
there. Yeah. Okay. Right on.
Yeah.
You need it.
Yeah, we don't get to use it much.
I would boil. Like, it's 19 degrees outside and my heat's at 68 and I'm warm. I'm wearing shorts and the short sleeve. My wife is downstairs in sweatpants and like 2 hoodies. So
Yeah, that's like our house. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know how that is.
I think the thing that still scares me about Arizona is when you, Rob, and Nick talk about the scorpions. I don't think I'll ever visit Arizona for that reason. I'm so afraid of scorpions and big bugs.
They are. They freak me out too, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I had one crawling across my hand. Like they're not that common. It's not like I see one every day. But in the summertime, they come out, man. And in our house currently, like I'll see one in my garage like once a month. And we had only one in our house ever, but I did have one crawl across my hand. I was moving some stuff around in the backyard, and I like looked the other way and felt something crawl across my hand. And this thing, I looked down at the scorpion like crawling over the back of my hand, and I made a sound that I could never. I wouldn't want to or try to repeat. I don't even know what it was, dude. But they're so nasty, and like I know a bunch of people that have been stung, and like some people it doesn't affect that bad, and some people it does. But they're just it's one of those. They're so tough. They're so tough. Like you try to crush one, and like they're like impossible to kill. They can go through like the tiniest little cracks, and they're just nasty critters, man.
No thanks. Well, dude,
behind you. Oh, go ahead, Bailey. I was gonna say first though, but behind you are those some of the old school Havoc pit bosses that you can't get anymore.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's some. I've got just a little wall of some random Berkeley stuff here, and yeah, I like them better now because they're power bait, right? So like everyone at first was like, oh man, they're gonna be $1 more because they're. But hey, they're power bait, so they're. I mean, to me, that's a huge plus. All these old bags I have, dude. I'm like I reach for them last. They're like last resort when I run out of all the power bait ones, and
interesting.
I have to get these. Yeah.
So what smells worse in your opinion, power bait or max scent?
Max scent's much more potent, right? Like neither of them smell bad to me because I'm so used to them, I guess. But the max scent's so potent, like. You guys know the smell. It's so hard to get off your hands. Like it's hilarious every year at iCast because like all day long you're like showing baits and doing videos and stuff like that. And I'm digging around with my hands in Max scent bottles or Max scent bags all day. So like it's kind of a formal event, and I'm walking around smelling like Max scent. It's nasty,
man. Yeah, and then you go out to dinner that night, and your hands smell like crap.
Oh, yeah.
You go to bite like that cheeseburger. It's like, oh, never mind.
I smell like I've been fishing all day, not at an expo. That's the truth,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, can you tell Berkeley to make some Max scent juice bottles?
Oh, man. That's a great idea. Yeah. Have you guys ever used like the marinade before, the gulp spray?
Yeah, I have.
Right on. That marinade, it comes in like a little tiny jar like that. And just like you drop like 3 drops into a bag of baits and it's game over.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I watched a video a while ago. I think it was Jeff Gustafson that put it out where he like to refreshen some of his baits or even baits from other companies, take the Gulp Alive little I don't even know what it's called. But you have all your baits and
they just a little tub.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, it's a great idea. Great idea.
But dude, we're talking about this tackle and showing your wall. I have a question. So like for people who obviously we're not professional anglers like you guys, this is your off season. While you guys might have might be a different off season this year because of the whole COVID year and whatnot, but typically in this off season, are you guys super busy? What's your schedule look like? What's like the main thing on your guys' priority list?
Well, so you're just talking to Justin. You heard him talking about his boy, and I'm in the same boat, right? Like I've got a 2 and a 4-year-old, so that like this is the time where I really get to spend a lot of time with them. So like that's like the number one thing for me is trying to spend some time, and like we're potty training my son right now. So that's taking up a ton of time, but as on the work and business side, yeah, there's a good amount of stuff to do, man. I mean, you hear about trying to wrap up. Everyone's talking about trying to get everything lined up for next year from scheduling out stuff on their personal travel agendas to sponsorship. And like on the sponsorship side, man, there's a lot to do. Like, for instance, say you're a guy that's got 12 companies you work with. That's you've got 12 bosses that you have to, work with to make sure that you're doing everything that you were supposed to do and they wanted you to do that year. Make a game plan, figure out what they want of you next year, what you're doing right, what you could do better. It's a big deal doing that once, then you do that 12 times over. So there's a lot of communication and stuff going on in that department right now. And and then switching boats out, like it's a good thing. It's a great problem to have, having a brand new boat, man. It's pretty sweet. I'm not complaining at all, but like, when I'm done with last year's boat, I want to make sure whoever's buying it is getting a really nice boat that's been, gone through, everything's working perfectly, everything's in good shape. So that means like, it might be little things, but like today I took it into the fiberglass shop to get, I had 3 little chips, one in the back of the boat and then 2 in the trailer fenders. So just stuff like that, that's a week, in and out with that. Then I just unwrapped it a couple days ago. Then it's going to a detailer. Then it's going to go into Tracker Marine to get a couple other little things worked on and fixed up. So, and then in between that, using it, I do some guiding, and I'm actually fishing a tournament on Saturday. So I just a little back and forth, but not much sitting around. And then of course fantasy football too. We were just talking about that. Tonight might be my last night though. I'm about to lose unless Jarvis Landry goes off.
Oh, geez.
That's gonna be tough.
Well, I hope the Browns go off, because if the Browns win, then the Bills get in the playoffs after their big win last night. So,
all right, dude.
Yeah, go Bills.
So, oh yeah, you're from Buffalo, Andrew. So
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Hey, the Bills are pretty legit, aren't they?
Oh yeah, we're out of our minds right now. We're sad we can't be there. I'm sure if we were there, every table in like 100-mile radius would be sold out. So
that's cool. You guys are like the most loyal fans. You deserve a Super Bowl. You really do.
It's kind of crazy. Like, that's all they're talking about now. Like, even if you watch ESPN and stuff, like, what's his name? The old receiver from, I think he played for the Vikings or Green Bay on Good Morning Football. He's like, I think the Bills are a number 1 team. I'm like, no way. Just stop.
Yeah, you can't hear that. It's like you got the imposter syndrome.
Yeah. But Bills fans are overdue. It's been 17 years since we've had a really good team, decent team, and 25 years since we've been in the Super Bowl. So
yeah, it was a weird moment last night prior to the game when they do like their the analysts all do their projections. So you see that the teams split across the board, and then they pick which team they want to, they think is going to win.
All Bills but one. Yeah.
Bills. And we're like, we haven't seen this in a long time.
No kidding. Good for you guys, man.
Oh, I'm not a Bills fan. I like to root against the Bills just because it makes Andrew mad. So I'm an Eagles fan. Mad. My Eagles aren't doing very well. So.
Oh yeah. Eagles are looking pretty rough, but
no.
Who needs enemies with friends like that, right, Andrew?
Yeah. Hey, Hurts looked pretty good. We beat the Saints last night, and Hurts looked really good. So maybe there's some positive, but
no doubt.
But dude, getting back to fishing here, because we could probably talk football all night long.
I can't believe they let pros fish in tournaments down in Arizona. I know a lot of states they don't let them.
Don't even get me started, dude. It's there's hardly any circuits anymore that we can, and I definitely understand both sides of that, man. I do. Like I get the other side of it, but it's just it's sad to me because like they're all the dudes that I grew up fishing with. They're all my buddies. And, man, I don't get any time on these lakes. So like, I show up and I'm at kind of a disadvantage because these guys have been fishing these lakes all year. So, most are cool with it, with not having any rules on guys not being allowed to fish, but it does kind of bum me out, man, that some of the circuits have that rule. In a perfect world for me, like I definitely understand. One thing I do understand is like, if you're a guy with a 9-to-5 job, it's very difficult to compete against, say, a pro angler or a guy that doesn't have another job that can go pre-fish all 5 days during the week. I get that. So I love the circuits. Something like this circuit we're fishing now has an off limits rule all week where you can't pre-fish during that week before, but then anyone's allowed to fish on the weekend, and they get a good turnout. It's called Wild West Bass. It's one of the better trails out here.
I've heard of Wild West. Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's bummer for you guys as pros, but I bet it has to be a bummer for certain anglers that want to take it to that next level and want to fish against you guys to know it could, because it could, like, obviously you've been traveling around the country fishing, and you might not be home, but even just saying like, look, I beat Josh Bertrand, say, by 2 pounds or something. Even while, yes, you're at a disadvantage, that's a confidence boost mentally for them.
Oh, yeah.
And it's something for them to take forward with. I think it's a bummer for a lot of guys. I mean, for like an athlete, that's like you want to go against the best of the best because that's the only way you're going to get better.
I love that mentality, dude. And that's why you do really well, bro. And that's, I think that's a winner's mentality, honestly, dude. And when I was first starting out, I thought it was so cool when I would be fishing the same local tournament that John Murray was in, or Mark Kyle, or Clifford Perch. Those were the dudes at the time when I was a teenager that were like the pros out here. And man, I loved it. I thought it was awesome for sure.
Heck yeah. Well, dude, talk about 2021 though. I mean, you got to be pretty jacked up because I think the schedule's freaking awesome. But that being said, dude, do you have anything like highlighted or like a tournament highlighted or one that you think you might be your best chance to win?
It's hard to say because you never know 100% which ones you're going to do well and which ones you're going to do terribly in. But I think it's a great schedule too. Like the first term of the year at Rayburn is going to be incredible fishing. Late March at Rayburn, that'll be awesome. Yeah. Another kind of cool one is Lake Travis. Man, that's going to be I think it's late April.
Early May. Yeah.
Late April, early May, and that lake's cool. Like the first time we fished there a couple years ago, I loved the lake. It was one of the, it looks to me like if you just lay eyes on it, it looks like a Western lake. It's deep, it's clear, it's got tons of rock. It's got docks, but most of those docks are like floating marinas. It doesn't have like a bunch of like residential docks around the lake. But man, it's an awesome lake, and it's got some giant random freaks in it. Like the first day of practice, I talked about this on my show not too long ago, but the first day of practice when we went out there a few years ago, I caught like 2 8s, a 6, and a 5 the first day of practice. And I came back in and told my buddies, I was like, I don't know. I had like 30 pounds, but I didn't figure anything out today because they were like just like random freak giants. Like they were just like on totally different baits and totally different places. And then I went back in like the second or third cast of the first day of the tournament. I caught an 8-8, and then never caught anything close to like that for the rest of the Derby. But like just the random big fish factor there is pretty cool. And it's just a cool lake, man. Like we don't fish a lot of lakes that look like that one. So, and of course the smallmouth at the end of the summer are going to be awesome. We have 3 smallmouth tournaments, but it's a good schedule. And I don't know, dude. That one is, I can't wait to go to Lake Travis, which I might be the only guy that says that, but on tour, but I think it's an awesome lake.
Heck yeah. Wasn't that Bass Fest a few years ago?
It was.
Was it Benton that won that?
Yeah, Drew Benton won there.
Yeah.
It was. He won it in a marina. And on that, so the first big fish of the tournament got a Toyota truck, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
So, like, as I'm reeling that fish in the first day, dude, like when it's out there and you got an 8-8 on the line, you don't know if it's like a 7 or like an 11, right? And I get in the boat and still you kind of just, because you don't catch one that big every day. So it weighs 8-8, and I'm like, odds are it's not going to last, but there's an outside chance that could be the truck, right? Like almost a 9-pounder.
Yeah.
So like I'm feeling pretty good about myself. And like an hour later, I run into Adrian Avina, and he's like, "How's your day going?" I'm like, "Dude, it's awesome, man. I caught an 8-8." And I'm like, "It probably won't hold up, but I got to be leading big fish right now." And he goes, "You want me to burst your bubble?"
Uh-oh.
And I was like, "Well, no, but you have to now." And he's like, "I saw Bobby Lane catch 8-9 first thing this morning." So I knew
jeez.
right at that point that I could just start trying to catch a bigger one.
Yeah. Didn't Benton win on a plopper?
I think he was on some type of a top water bait, maybe a spoon, fishing these slips. Yeah, man. It might have been a plopper, might have been a walking bait, but he was fishing marina slips. I know that.
Right. I just remember that was one of the like exactly what you said. It was the hype of the show was this clear water, all these guys seeing roaming giants everywhere, and people, trying to catch them, watching these giants swim with their baits, and then having 40 12-inchers uppercut the giant.
Yeah, exactly. It was weird. Like and it'll be probably a little bit better this time. It'll be definitely better because we're 3 years later. But
Right.
they definitely missed some spawns out there on that lake. Like there were some years where the spawns were not that successful because there were very few, like 2.5 to 5 pounders. It was either a dink, like a 13-incher or smaller, or like a 7. It was really weird.
That doesn't match up well for the spawn.
No. And hey, now all this seriously, dude. Yeah. Some odd-looking couples swimming around the shallows in the spring, huh?
That one big lady's gonna have like 10 followers.
Seriously, you got to pick it.
Paparazzi for one mama.
No doubt.
Oh, so that's why you're saying it was unsuccessful? It's just because the ratio was completely off?
Well, what happened probably was they either had floods or like super low water where there wasn't a lot of habitat to spawn in. So for like several years, they didn't get a good spawn. That's why like you just don't have those age fish, right? Like the fish are all 5 years or older or 2 years or younger because all those fish that were supposed to spawn for those 3 years, something happened on the lake, man. I don't know what it was. I wasn't back there, but like for there to be a whole age class missing like that, like there had to have been bad spawns.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. I think Texas went through like a really bad drought a couple of years before you guys went. Like Falcon and Amistad were like at the lowest levels of all time during that time.
That makes sense.
So,
And that's probably what it was because there's just no habitat for them to spawn in. So they can't lay those eggs in a safe place without them getting terrorized. You know what I mean?
yeah.
True. Very true. So that being said, is there one on the schedule that you might be least looking forward to?
I don't think we have any tidal fisheries on the schedule, so that's good, man. Like I always look at that and I just pray for one or less tidal fisheries. So honestly, dude, it's a great schedule. I mean, I can't wait.
Yeah.
It's going to be all good fishing and nice.
It's a lot of driving.
So a lot of driving for sure, but I'm used to that in Arizona. And dude, I'll ping pong back and forth around the country for good fishing. You know what I mean? It's I'd rather have some travel, but have good tournaments, exciting tournaments, than have an easy schedule and just have it be boring. So it's cool. I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm excited for the heavy hitters because when you guys went back to Jordan, that fishery just looked insane. Like it looked like a shallow man's paradise.
It's crazy. Yeah, I've never seen like such an average big fish in any tournament like it, compared to that first time we went. If it's anything like that again, which it could be even better because we're just a little later. So I'm stoked. Yeah, it's going to be incredible. With that being heavy hitters, like, yeah, it's going to be crazy. Yeah.
I'm excited for that one, especially being in April. That was the one that Porosnik won, right? Just flipping a Senko.
Yep.
I think Wheeler was throwing like a popping frog.
Exactly.
Like yeah.
Yeah, Wheeler was. Yep. So we went to 3 different lakes: Jordan, Falls, and then Sheeran Harris, and that's what we're doing again. And they're all just they're Jordan and they're all different, which is kind of interesting. Jordan has like a lot of cypress trees. It's kind of a typical looking reservoir, like a southeastern reservoir.
Yeah.
Textbook, right? And then dirty water. And then Falls has like half of the lake is like that, and then half of it is kind of almost more highland looking. It's got some steeper clay banks, and then Sheeran Harris is like a power plant lake with a lot of grass in it. So like totally different lakes, man. And clear water too.
Fun.
Yeah, like Falls was by far the toughest one that we went to, and everyone said it was going to be like the best, but we just, I guess, hit it wrong. So I'm hopeful that one's like significantly better when we come back, and the other two are as good as they were, because the other two were ridiculous. Like it was it was phenomenal, man.
Yeah. So one thing you guys talk about on your show a lot with Rob and Nick is the like the U.S. Open and like these Western tournaments. Did they? I to my knowledge, I have no idea, and that's why I'm asking: is did they have the U.S. Open this year?
Yeah, so they had it October, like mid-October. They had a record turnout, like 250 boats or something, man. It was 242 boats. It was quite the turnout, man, and it was a good tournament. It was tough as always. I think my total was like 22 pounds, and I finished 17th out of 242. I mean, that's for 3 days. So yeah, 22 pounds sounds pretty good when I first say that, but when I say it's 3 days, and that was good.
Grinding.
Not so
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
That's tough.
It's a tough tournament, dude. And every day we'd catch 30 fish, but it's very hard to catch big ones on that lake that time of year.
Yeah. What lake was that at?
Lake Mead. So it's at Lake Mead every year. It used to be held like in the dead of the summer. And then, one thing was like a lot of guys had other tournaments conflicting in the summertime. None of the guys that fished the Pro Tours could really get there. So they moved it back to the fall a little bit. And, now they got a bunch of pro guys fishing it again, and good weather. It's a fun tournament, man.
Yeah.
We stay right in Vegas, and yeah, because it's right outside of Vegas, and we park our boats on the roof of a parking garage of a casino.
That's so sweet.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah,
Fish all day, party all night, I guess.
Not me, but that's a good place for people party.
So
it's like a double gambling weekend.
There's been stories, dude, guys that like, don't go to bed, right? And then,
yeah, then they reap the consequences when they're on the water.
I can't even imagine. Yeah.
Especially in like the dead of summer on Lake Mead, I wouldn't want to do that.
No, but they did. I mean, guys were a lot tougher back in the day, I guess, man. I couldn't do that.
No. So if I had to guess, the way you caught them there, because I think I've seen you do it on your Instagram, was you were probably up shallow throwing a spy bait.
That's something that works really well there, bro. It works really well there in that clear water. I caught some on it. I caught some smallies on the spy bait for sure. I caught most of my fish on a drop shot. That's a tournament where topwater plays really big. You can catch some cranking or doing different things, but I caught most of my fish drop shotting. That just ended up being, once I got through the first day and realized I wasn't on something that I thought I could win on, I was like, do I just do something? Do I just get crazy and completely roll the dice and try to give myself a 1 in a million chance to win? Or do I just do the sure thing and go home with a solid check? And that's the route I took this year. Next, that's not what I showed up there for, but like, after the first day, you see what cards you dealt and what you found. And I was like, well, I'm just going to go try to, make $4 or $5 grand and get out of here.
Heck yeah. That topwater deal that you and Rob talk about, especially like when Rob talks about the midday stripers that just start randomly busting, you just throw a big plug and start walking it like crazy. Those big stripes, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It is fun, yeah. If we can ever get you guys out here, man, you would enjoy that. It's kind of a summer and fall thing, but our lakes are so clear that topwater kind of works all day, especially in the summer and fall. It's not like just an early morning type thing. It's as sometimes as good in the middle of the day as it is first thing.
Yeah, I think that's a misconception is that topwater needs to be first thing or right before sunset, that sort of deal, or when it's cloudy during the day. When some of my best days on topwater are when it's slick, calm, sunny, and it's noon. Yeah. That's some of my best topwater days.
I agree. You got to keep it on the deck anyways, man. Don't give up on it.
Always keep it honest.
Heck yeah, 100%.
Always.
Yeah.
I just, every year in a tournament, I seem to catch like a key fish off of a shaded part somewhere shallow, and you're just like, oh, where's my popper? And,
nice.
Oh, there's one. You're like, oh, yeah, like, great decision.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah, 100%.
At least once in summer that happens.
And it's usually a good one, right?
Yeah, it's always like a 3 or 3.5 pounder every time.
Right on.
Heck yeah. Well, dude, Andy, you got anything left for Josh here?
No, man. We look forward to 2021 season and following you here, but I actually do have one question. Do you think BPT will ever go out west?
Yeah, I really do. And I'm not just being hopeful, but I'm actually, on the board, on the angler board of the BPT, and I know, I mean, hey, it's something that's been discussed a lot and was discussed a lot for this year. Even COVID gets blamed for a lot of stuff, and COVID gets the blame for this one too. Just because it's such a logistical nightmare to come out west.
Yeah,
and they need it to be as doable as possible, and this was not a good year for that. So, trying to bring events to California right now. I mean,
almost
I know you guys are in the
impossible.
Northeast and things are pretty locked down there, but California is right up there too, if not worse. So it's a tough year for that, man, out west. Hopefully next year. I know a lot of people would like to see the fishing out here. It's really, really, I mean, the fishing is really, really good. And if we can make it work, I know that they want to, man. And the fans out here are hungry for some national tournaments, man. So I hope so.
Yeah, that would be sick. I would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's so many bodies of water that not many people know much about that could be tapped into and could be great waters for either trail. I mean, it'd be sweet to go back there.
I feel like there's a lot of big enough waters too to handle larger tournaments. Like just in California alone, like if you look at a map, some of those lakes are just massive.
Yeah, for sure. We've got a bunch, man. We've got a bunch in Arizona and California both. But it's got to work out. You can't just come out here for one.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Make everyone, you got to kind of have two. And can't be before it gets too hot. And it's gonna happen, but it just has to work out right for sure.
Thank you. Well, dude, we want to say
dream. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Andy. I was gonna wrap up.
I was gonna say, actually, my dream scenario would be for like the season to start out west in like February or March. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be a great way to do it. It really would. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you lose out on the big spawn factor down in the southeast. So I don't know if they would do that.
We'll see. Maybe next year, dude. Yeah, I hear you. You lose out on that, but you get it out west. And it's great. The tournaments would go really well. So there's so much that goes into planning the tournaments. There's like so much beyond just like, hey, that's good fishing. Let's go there. There's there are a lot of factors. So I get it, but as long as the way I look at it, it'd be amazing to live in a place where like you get there's some dudes that literally every single year have a massive, a full tour tournament where they're fishing for $100,000 on their home body of water or one of their home body. And I can't even imagine how that would feel. Like it'd be awesome, but we're just used to it, and I look at the guys like that have had really successful careers from the West. And I tell myself, hey, Skeet has won so many tournaments away from his home lake. He's never done it on his home lake. He's had to do it elsewhere and he made it work. Ayler, same way. So many of these guys, Aaron Martins, they make all these other places work for them. So that's, as a Western angler, that's kind of what you have to do just on a personal standpoint of trying to be fishing in bodies of water so far from home. But just to have it be cool and showcase these lakes out here, I'd love for everyone to see it. Like, dude, I'm talking about Mead and how tough it is, but I think everyone would be pretty dang interested to watch a tournament out there if they had a tournament there. Even though the fish are small, I think people would find it interesting trying to catch fish off of the moon.
Oh yeah, that would be so cool to watch. If it came back to your neck of the woods too, you'd have to be careful with your own podcast with talking to Rob, because doesn't he guide out that way too?
Yeah, seriously. Well, that's one thing. Like my buddy James Elam, he lives in Tulsa. And have you guys had James on the podcast yet?
Not yet.
We have not. No.
He lives in Tulsa, and like every year there's a tournament at Grand. So like he can't even talk to his buddies. He's like, dude, I've had because it's always off limits. He can't get any info.
Right.
So all the time he's having to shut people down. He's like, I can't even talk to any of my friends. Like he goes to the store, sees someone, they instantly, because that's what, if you live around Tulsa, that's what you talk about is Grand. Like you've been to Grand, how's the bite at Grand? Oh, we were doing this at Grand. It's all you hear about. It's like their crown jewel over there. So that kind of, it's awesome having those tournaments in your backyard, but it stinks not being able to, shoot the breeze with your buds.
Yeah. So what real quick before we let you go, what is the cutoff for that for MLF? Because I don't know the specific rules. Because like I know with bass, it's like a month you can't be on the water, but like the whole year, once the schedule is announced, you can't get any information whatsoever. Is it similar, or what's the deal with MLF?
Yeah, it's instantly no info. So as soon as you have knowledge that the tournament's going there, you can't get any information or help at all. So it's complete no info, which is great. You know, it makes those conversations with your friends tough because you have to watch what you say, but it makes it fair. Like you just know that, hey, maybe the best man's going to win, not the guy that knows the best fisherman on the lake, man. And that's how it's been since the start. So I love that.
Heck yeah. Are you allowed to like visit the lake?
You can visit it up to 30 days prior. Yep. You can visit it up to 30 days prior by yourself. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's sweet. Awesome. Well, dude, we want to say thank you for taking time out of your night as well.
Thanks.
Yeah. Hey, thank you guys for joining me. Your podcast, man, it's doing so well. It's growing and growing. It's so fun to listen to every show. And you guys did great on the fishing front this summer too, man. So don't want to give you guys a big congrats on that. You guys caught some unbelievable smallmouth.
Thanks, Josh.
We're just chasing you, buddy.
You guys are killers, man.
But no, dude, same to you as well. And for anybody watching, listening, if you haven't already, check out the Anglers Happy Hour. It's one of my personal.
Thank you guys very much.
It's a good mix of comedy, relaxed life, and then you get some fishing tips here and there too. So it's pretty cool.
Watching you guys reminds me a lot of us because like we're always like, since we're not in person, we're jumping down each other's throats to ask questions and stuff.
It's like
I'm chuckling watching you guys do because it's the same thing. Like
it's like once an episode, we just choke over each other. It's like dang it.
Dude. We're like every 10 minutes. So
heck yeah.
That's fine.
Thank you for coming on as our surprise guest for Justin too. And my last favor I have of you is to ask Rob if we can have him on the show. We would love to have him come talk about guys.
Oh, dude, yeah, you guys got to ask him all the old school, like Southwestern tournament stuff, man. I think you really love it. So 100%. I'll text me later. I'll get you guys in touch.
Heck yeah, I'll definitely do that. We'd love to talk all of that. I know his passions for spinner baits, so I'll talk some old school spinner.
All right, dude. Yeah. Heck yeah, the listeners will enjoy it.
Sweet deal. Well, dude, we appreciate it. You're always welcome on the show. It's always a blast when you come on, and keep doing you. We're looking forward to rooting for you in 2021, and stay safe. And we'll talk to you soon.
You guys too. Stay warm.
We'll try.
I did.
Have a good night, man.
All right, guys. See ya.
See you later. That's awesome.
That was fun. Yeah,
that was a lot. Dude, Justin's face when Josh joined was.
I think he knew exactly where it was going. He was just like, "Oh,
dang it!" that was a lot of fun. That was, dude.
When he said that last person, I was really hoping he would say Josh, so you could have just like queued it up and popped him in right there because that would have been just like perfect.
That would have been good too. Let's see. Rich asked us throughout. I didn't even see this question pop up. He asked if Justin plans to get his channel more active again. It's a good question. We'll have to ask him that offline here. But Justin Lucas has a really good YouTube channel for those who do not know. I believe I plugged it in the description here, but he has some wild good content. And him and Justin Atkins went out with Seek One Productions, which is like an urban hunting channel, which is pretty good too. And dude, they just went out in like this small little pond and freaking crushed giants on chopos and jigs.
I remember that one. And they put like the bass boats in, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I would pay a lot of money to fish that place.
Heck yeah. That was so ridiculous. I remember that one.
It looked stupid fun. But no, that was a blast to learn Justin Lucas's story, get Josh on, surprise him. I know they're good buddies. Justin's been on Josh's show a couple times. But that was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. 100%. And Wednesday, I said 100% again. Sorry, Rich.
Hope you have a beer.
Wednesday, we have on our good buddies, Kyle Patrick and Jimmy O'Brien, who competed in the Bassmaster Team Championship this past week. So we're going to get them on for Wednesday. So that'll be a fun one. And hopefully getting out one more time this week to try to get after some smallmouth. That cold snap we're getting this week might do it for us, though. Might.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
It's
not
gonna be
Erie.
tough.
Maybe not Erie, but at least by me, we're probably gonna be done. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but hopefully get out after some smallers one more time. And my pup today, I had to bring him in for surgery. He's doing well.
How's he
He's
doing?
well.
Good.
Yeah, he's high as a kite downstairs, passed out asleep, so he's fine. He's enjoying life. But yeah, dude, in probably 3 weeks, I get to go pick up my new Hobie Pro Angler 12. 21 PA 12 360. Pumped for that. And we got some stuff in the works, dude. We got some stuff behind the scenes that are going to be pretty exciting and
Heck yeah.
some pretty cool episodes coming up. So I'm really pumped for it. For Friday, we already have it scheduled out. We're going to have Kurt Smits on, who is a pretty big kayak angler in the kayak scene. We've had Kurt on before. We're going to get him on to talk about his season, what's coming up for 2021, because there's some new trails that are beginning, at least in the Northeast. We're going to talk to him about that. Well, I think you're busy that night. So I think it's just me and Kurt that night.
Yep, I believe so. On Wednesday, I will not be joining you, unfortunately. But
And then Thursday, it'll be Thursday. So next Wednesday, we'll have an episode out for you guys with Brent Butler. Brent Butler is a good buddy of ours. He's a Douglas pro down Home Lakes.
how about Cumberland?
Yeah, talk about Cumberland, his season, and what he's got, if he's got anything planned yet for 2021, because he's the Chickamauga Hammer. So we'll see what happens. But you got any last remarks for the folks before we sign off?
Nah, man, just everybody stay safe and healthy, and hopefully you guys continue to listen. Give us feedback as you will. We always enjoy feedback, so we can make this a better viewing experience and listening experience for all of you, ladies and gentlemen. And hopefully you guys and ladies have a great 2021 coming up here very shortly.
Heck yeah. Yeah, if you guys could too. I mean, like we said in the beginning, like and share this on your feed. But go to the Serious Angler page, the Facebook page, and click that invite friends button. Invite all your friends that fish and some that are looking into getting into fishing. We would appreciate the love and more exposure to get them to ask questions to our guests. That's what we really care about, is getting our guests some more exposure, letting you guys have an outlet to talk to these big time pros that have 500,000 followers and can't check the thousands of messages in their DMs. This is a great outlet for you guys to get on here and ask them questions, because we'll feature them. So as always, we appreciate you guys tuning in for watching and listening. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.